Good morning, everybody. This is Dan Caramanico. I'm one of the sales coaches with Acceler Organization. I'm here to answer some sales questions that have been sent to me. All right. I'm just waiting for. Hopefully, we're still online here. My screen was flickering. Okay, so the first question is from Jimmy. Last name is Alexinko. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So the question is, what long-term marketing strategies can I implement in my business today that will fill my pipeline with clients? And the background is, I'm a flooring contractor. My main job is to install flooring in clients' houses. I subcontract for a flooring store, and I also work with a lead company that sells me leads. Lately, the store and the lead selling company have been slow. So I'm looking for new marketing strategies that will fill my pipeline with constant clients so that I can stay busy all the time. So Jimmy, my advice, what I would do if I were in your situation, and I have been in your situation plenty of times, what I would focus on is referrals. I'm always a little not sure what people mean when they say marketing, because some people use it as a euphemism for sales. When they really mean sales, some people mean things like online marketing and so forth. And I'm going to focus on the referrals. So you've been in business for a while, and I'm assuming you've been in business for a while. You've got clients and so forth. So when's the last time you actually talked to some of your clients that satisfied customers from 2 or 3 years ago? Those are easy calls to make. You can call them up and just see how they're enjoying the flooring. And once evidently you've made a lot of people happy. So why don't you call them up and just talk to them, and then at the end say, hey, listen, you know anybody else you might be able to refer me to? If you do that on a consistent basis, like we're starting out now, you're a little slow, make those calls. They're easier to make. In going forward in the future, what I would do is to ask the people that are your current clients, that you like, every time you do a job for a client, ask them for a referral. Say, listen, how do you like it? How do you like what we did? Are you enjoying the flooring? Say, yeah, it looks great. It looks terrific. Hey, listen, you know anybody else you could refer me to? And if you do that on a consistent basis with the expectation that they should refer you to somebody, and they should. After all, let me finish that thought. If you ask with the expectation that they're going to tell you, you will get some referrals, and that will help fill your pipeline. I promise you, when they have a party at their house or some friends come over, they'll say, wow, where'd you get this new floor? This is really cool. I like it. I have a family room that could use one of these. And your client might say, oh, yeah, well, I use Jimmy. He's really good. You should call him. Here's his card. But they never call you, right? So if you just ask them for that referral, and if you follow up with them, make it a policy to follow up with them 2 or 3 weeks after the call, make it part of your process. Make it part of your, when you sell the project, say, look, as soon as we're done, I'm going to call you up in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to make sure everything's going fine. And that's a great time to ask for referrals, because probably in that time somebody's come over and said, oh yeah, we really like it and we'd like to do the same thing. I believe that will get you more in the near term to fill your pipeline than any kind of extra marketing that you could do. And it's painless. Okay, so that's my advice. That's the strategy which will fill your pipeline, and eventually I would be willing to bet that you might not even need that lead service. You'll be getting so many leads from doing this. So Jimmy, I hope that helps. And if not, then you might want to attend one of the Zoom training sessions that we do. And in May, I'm coming to Nashville, so you'll get a whole weekend full of it. Okay, Crystal Reyes asked the question is, how do I determine or calculate the right pricing according to my expenses? And her background is, I'm a nail technician in the beauty industry. I'm feeling like I may be undervaluing myself and my pricing, but I just feel stuck. I've checked pricing menus in my area, but they aren't booth rental. they are commission based. So I'm going to tell you before I answer this question, I've never had my nails done in my life, and I'm not exactly sure what booth rental means versus commission. I think I have an idea, but I'm going to focus on the feeling that you have that you may be undervaluing yourself, and you say, I just feel stuck. And so I wanted to address those things. If you feel like you're undervaluing yourself, you probably are, right? So one thing you can, calculating the right price based on your expenses, that might have been one way to interpret your question is, do I do it based on my expenses? And that would be one way to do it. Obviously, you don't want to price it any less than your expense, but I would be willing to bet that for people who get their nails done, especially those really fancy ones, the value far exceeds the actual cost of what it costs you to do it, right? The cost of the nail polish and those little sticky things you stick on there. So I don't think that's a great way to do it. I really believe you price it based on the value that you're bringing to the customer. One way to do that is to just ask people. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is just inch your prices up. Just add. If you're charging $25, make it $28 for a while. See if anybody balks at that price. And if everybody's good with 28, then try 35 or 32 or something. Just inch it up. When you say you feel stuck, again, it would be greater if this was an interactive medium, but what that usually means is, I don't feel like I can raise the price. I'm not sure if it's worth it, and so forth. It's you just have to get over that, right? Just increase the price and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? You tell somebody it's $3 or $4 or $5 more than what they pay, especially new customers. They don't know what your prices are, right? Just tell them, the price went to $30 a session. Look, I'm making these numbers up. I don't know what it really costs. Just add something to it, and you'll find out that they'll say, okay, fine, right? It's not for a lot of people, not everybody, but depends on your market. But for a lot of people, it's not the most expensive thing they're going to spend money on. So don't worry about what other people are charging. Worry about what you think you're worth. And the best way to be able to charge more money is to convince yourself that you're worth more, right? Once you believe you're worth more, you will do it. So I don't even know you, but I'm guessing if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling undervalued, then my guess is that you're better than you think you are, right? And just charge somebody more and see what happens. What's the worst that can happen? They say no and you lose one customer. Not a big deal. So that's my advice. Look, I went through this process. I don't do nails. I do sales consulting, and I remember thinking that my price was going to be too low. I didn't think I could charge more than a certain amount for this one contract. But I said, I'd never get more than 500, and I was able to get 1,000. And then I was so excited about that, a couple months later, I raised it to 2,500, right? And they didn't balk at that either. So I gradually raised the price until, and you might think that wasn't so gradual, right? But it was that I was in my own way, right? So I have a feeling that Crystal, you're in your own way. So I know you might feel stuck, but just do it. Raise the price, see what happens, and I think you'll be happy. There's no magical way to do it. You can go to MBA school, which I did, and you can study theory for days and weeks and months, but you're in a small business. If I were you, that's what I would do. I'd just add $3 or $4. If you think you're comfortable adding $3, add $4. Get out of your comfort zone. Add a little bit more. Oops, sorry about that. That's my phone ringing. Somebody actually calling me from overseas. I'm not sure who that is. Okay, so Crystal, I hope that helps. So Robin Turpin is an artist. I think, Robin, you and I have talked before, and the question is, how much time would you recommend blocking in for networking with potential prospects? Sorry about this. How much time would you recommend blocking in for working with potential prospects? And she says, with 7 upcoming art shows I work on producing, do you think working on location as an artist all weekend would be an acceptable amount of time to allocate for prospecting? And her elevator pitch is, as an artist, I help people feel moments of calm through my oil paintings of sunsets. First of all, let me say I love your elevator pitch. I think it's unique, and I think it gets to the pain that the person might have, right? So I just think it's perfect. So I wouldn't change a word of that. And I think you and I might have discussed this before, but I don't really know if the amount of time when you're selling and you're prospecting, time is not the real relevant metric. The relevant metrics are dependent on how many people you talk to, what your closing ratio is, and so forth. So you're going to have to figure that out by actually doing it. Like if you prospected all weekend, when you on location, I think you mean go there and start painting and wait for people to come by, or maybe show pictures and wait for people to come by. Now, if it's an especially busy day when lots of people are going by, then maybe 3 hours might be enough. But if it's a day when somebody comes by every 2 hours, then maybe 2 days is what it's going to take. So the metric is how many people you talk to, not how many hours you do it. And of course, if you talk to 100 people before you sell one painting, that's one thing. If you talk to 20 people before you sell one painting, that's something else. So depending on how many paintings you need to sell and what those metrics turn out to be, it might be, it might be 3 hours is enough, and it might be the whole weekend. It might be a whole week for all I know. So you just keep track of your numbers. By the way, it'll vary over time, right? If you get really good at selling, then you're going to have to talk to fewer people. Your paintings, your skill might increase, so you get better at making calming sunsets, and so have a wider variety, and so you get more, it appeals to more people. So there's a lot of variables. There's no one right answer. Just keep track of how many people you talk to and how many paintings you sell from those discussions, and the answer will pop out of those numbers. And you being an artist, you may not be a mathematician. There's very few people that are artists and mathematicians. But if you get a bunch of data and you're not sure how to interpret it, then put the data in one of these emails, and I'll interpret it for you. I have a bunch of engineering degrees. I can look at numbers. You know what I can't do? I can't draw a straight line with a straight edge. I definitely can't paint a sunset. Okay, but I can look at numbers. So that's my advice to you, Robin, and hopefully we get to talk sometime in the near future. And I'd like to hear what those numbers are, because I don't deal with too many artists, and I have no idea how many you would have to do. And I think it depends on a lot of different things. Okay, Robin, good luck with that. So we have Bob Gigweary. As somebody who has an unpronounceable last name, I'm always disappointed when I can't pronounce somebody's name, and I think I killed Bob's name, so I'll just go with Bob here. His question is leading with the price the best way to start a sales conversation with a prospect? He goes on to say, I am promoting a software and services package that is drastically less expensive than competitors. At the top of my funnel, to get prospects on demo calls, should my messaging be focused just on price? The goal of my business is to make cybersecurity tools more accessible to organizations by reducing total cost of ownership. The existing solutions for the niche I work have high costs for software licenses and services. I'm developing a super lightweight software solution to solve the same problem at 20% of the price of other options. My target companies would have 3,000 employees, and my solution would be priced at 20,000 versus 100,000 by competitors. Well, you can lead with price. I would never say that's the wrong thing to do. I wouldn't. It would be early in my conversation, but it wouldn't be the first thing. So if I were you, and you say at the top of the funnel, I'm assuming that means with a cold call or a first conversation you get from a lead that came in or something. I would lead with the pain first. You first need to make sure that they're in the market for cybersecurity, right? And then you can then come with price, right? So I would lead with something like this. I might say, if I get somebody on the phone and say, "Hey George, what we do is we help companies that are struggling with how to upgrade their cybersecurity and are struggling with how to find a way to pay for it. Does that sound like it's a problem in your company?" And so it's a double-sided pain finding. So first, I want pain that they really are trying to upgrade cybersecurity, and I think everybody in the world is trying to do that right now. And two, they're struggling with how to pay for it, because I think that's probably something that would occur to most people, right? Especially with rising prices and stuff. You have a low-cost solution. If they say yes to that, my next question would be, well, what have you been doing? So I'd get a little bit of the pain out, and then I would say, look, we have a solution that's much cheaper than everybody else. Could we set up a time when we can demo the product, or can we set up a time when we can have a deeper discussion? Now you might ask you, what do you mean cheaper? I say, well, typically, I don't know what it would be in your case, but typically it's we can reduce prices by 80%, and I would think with that approach, you would get it would be pretty easy to get an appointment with people. The reason I say don't lead with the price, that's not what I would do, is that people, like I would get people call me all the time and said, like maybe from an accounting firm, and said, we can help save you money in taxes, or we can reduce your cost of long distance service by so much. And I'm like, ugh, it just sounds like a sales pitch, and the approach turns me right off, even if I was looking to save money in it, right? So that's why I'm suggesting that you lead with a little bit of the pain, but I would get to the money early in the process. So again, I'll repeat that. If I were doing it, I'd say I work with companies who are struggling with how to improve their cybersecurity, and yet, are struggling with how to pay for it. And I think that'll get you more appointments than just leading with the price. Now, if I were going to lead with the price, I would say it like this. I would say, we're in the cybersecurity business, and we work with companies that just don't have enough money to put cybersecurity in place. We can do it for about 20% of what normal people, what the normal price is. Do you have a few minutes to talk about that? And that's how I would do it if I were going to lead with price. Okay, and again, you notice I still make it that I make the statement that they're looking for cybersecurity, right? But I wouldn't lead like this. We're in the business of reducing cybersecurity prices by 20%, by 80%, because then they can say, well, I'm not even looking for that, right? So that's why I would do it the other way, the way I mentioned. So Bob, I apologize for mispronouncing your last name, and I hope that helps going forward. You have something that's a little bit longer cycle sell, which really would lend itself to a sales process. And you might, we're doing one of these weekend programs here in May. Might pay you to show up at that, and we can get into this in more depth. Okay, Carrington Crothers, a much easier name, says, how do you optimize your connections at networking events? I run a brand photography business in Massachusetts that helps brands grow through content creation, and I have been attending a fair amount of networking events, meeting people one-on-one follow-up meetings, on one-on-one follow-up meetings, trying to expand my local connections and get to know more people. I've given out many referrals and gotten thank you emails from people for booked clients based on my referral or connection, but haven't seen a return yet come on my end. What are some long-term and short-term strategies to improve my networking relationships? I don't expect a change to happen overnight, but would like to improve the networking world. Thanks. Okay, so I interpret from this that you're going to networking meetings and you're giving out referrals, but you're not getting them back. Now, the first thing I want to commend you on is giving the referrals. And what I preach to people, your mindset has to be right. So we used to tell people all the time, the only people who are good at getting referrals are the ones who are good at giving referrals. And the reason is, if you're thinking that, well, I wouldn't give a referral to anybody, when you ask somebody for a referral, you're going to say, you communicate more through your tonality than you do through the actual words. So what you would be saying is, verbally, I'd like you to give me a referral, and non-verbally, I wouldn't give anybody a referral, and I don't know why you would ever give me one, but it would be nice if you would. But you don't have that problem because you are willing to give people referrals. So I see two questions in your paragraph that you wrote here. One is, how do I improve the networking? And two is, how do I end up getting referrals? So I'll deal with the referral piece first. My first question would be, are you actually asking anybody for a referral, or are you just depending on them to give you one? One thing you can do, there's a thing called a referral partner. And a referral partner is somebody who calls on the same clientele you do, but sells a non-competing service. So somebody might call on a small business owner and sell them telephone services, and somebody else might call on that same small business owner and sell them like a CRM or some software. Now, they're not competing, but they call on the same people. So the telephone person could refer some of his or her clients to you, to the software person, and the software person could refer some of his or her clients to the telephone person. So you should look for people like that and then meet with them, sit down, and come to an agreement as to whether it makes sense to be referral partners or not. So I had two clients. One was an environmental engineer. One sold toxic waste hauling services. Sometimes the environmental engineer's clients needed toxic waste hauled, and sometimes the toxic waste hauler, the client spilled something that was toxic, and they need an environmental engineer to come in and do some studies and things. They would meet weekly or bi-weekly, and just have coffee, for a half hour, 40 minutes, discuss what was going on in their business, and just the fact that they met regularly, it gave them opportunities to refer to each other. So it kept it top of mind, and they were each had agreed to look for business for the other guy. And it's looking for business for the other person is easier than sometimes looking for it for yourself, because you're just looking and say, oh, hey, something spilled on your hey, I have Frank. He's a great environmental engineer. I can have him come in and do a study for you. Or Frank would say, one of his clients, they spilled something and it had to be cleaned up. And he'd say, hey, I have John over here, and he's good at that. Why don't I send him in? And it avoids competition. So that's one way to improve your referrals, is just develop referral partners where there's an explicit agreement as to what you're going to do. Now look, if John gives Frank 3 referrals and Frank only gives John 1 referral, that may be good enough. As long as everybody's getting enough business, then why wouldn't you keep doing that? So the other way I could interpret your question is how do I improve my networking when I'm at these networking meetings and developing follow-up meetings, one-on-one meetings. And I used to go to lots and lots of networking meetings when I first started my business, and all my clients were individual salespeople. And so the only people that show up at those networking things are salespeople, right? So they were all prospects for me. So what you want to do is focus on the person you're talking to. They all came to the meeting to try to tell their story to as many people as they could. And so what you should do is give them that opportunity. So you would walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, hi George, how are you? You know, my name's Carrington. What do you do?" Ask them what they do, and guess what? They say, "Oh, good, I get to tell my story." And they start telling what they do, and you listen to what they're saying, and trying to listen for what pains they might have buried in the story that they're telling you. So, and when you do, you can then when they ask you what you do, you tell them that you solve the kind of pains that they have. So you said you were a photographer. So somebody said they were in the, they had the product that they were selling online, and you could just ask them a question about how do you, before you even tell them what you do, you just say, well, how do you, how do you get the content for the website, or you sell a bunch of products? I mean, do you update the pictures of the products every week, or how do you do that? And they'll start telling you, and hopefully you can find out some pain. Then pretty soon a clicker goes off in their head, and they say, well, I better ask Carrington what she does, right? She says, what do you do? And then you can start telling them about how you solve a particular problem that they had. I'll give you an example. In my world, I went to a trade show, and there was a guy there, and he was a time management consultant. He had a little computer program, and I asked him what he did, and he explained it. And I said, well, this sounds like a pretty cool system. I'm assuming it's pretty easy to sell. And he says, well, not really. I said, why not? It's really by this time he showed me the product and how it worked. I said, it sounds pretty neat. It seems like a lot of people would need it. And he says, yeah, but I can't get by gatekeepers. And he starts telling me about the problems he was having. He said, so what do you do? I said, well, I work with companies, with people that are having trouble with getting by gatekeepers and the issues that he brought up. And he said, well, maybe we could get together, and maybe you could help me. I said, okay, fine, I can do that. And then we had a meeting. He became a client. So Carrington, I hope that helps, and I hope everybody else got some value out of these questions. And like I mentioned, we'll be doing that weekend program in May. I think it's the 20th of May. So you can contact Sean or Shirley, and they'll tell you all about it. I look forward to meeting you, a lot of you down there. All right, have a great day.